Let's go ahead and officially get started here. Welcome everybody. Mike the support. He's our local, he's our resident SSL coach or almost SSL coach, and he's offered to do this 1v1 bootcamp for all of you. A couple things. If you look up just above the voice channel, you should see at 3 p.m. Eastern. I'll change that a thread under the coaching appointments. A couple links in there. I'll start at the top. Of course, we've got the Rocket League Old Farts YouTube. Need a couple more subscribers so we can get a custom URL. So if you haven't already done that, please go to that and subscribe. There's the Twitch link. If you're watching on Twitch, you can get to the YouTube channel from our About Us. And if you have an Amazon Prime subscription and you're not using your Twitch Prime sub, we are an affiliate now, so feel free to drop that here so it's not going to waste. The second set of links is to Mike's YouTube channel. He could use some subscribers as well, and he's got a Twitch that I know he uses it for game casting for some other leagues, but I don't know if he's got other live streams that he does. But maybe if you all subscribe, and he'll do that more regularly. The second set of links are some scenarios. So you want to have those open because as Mike's going through the replays and stuff, he'll stop and ask you for some votes on scenarios, kind of like what would you do. So if you have those scenarios open and ready to vote, then we can get those answers in real quick. Aside from that, that's all I've got. You can see up. I'm not sharing, but anyways, Mike, you want to go ahead and start sharing in Discord? Everybody can watch through Discord if you're in here, and then like I said, we've got the Twitch channel going as well, and we'll save this and put it up on YouTube later. So, Mike, take it away.
Yep, thanks a lot for the shout-outs, much appreciated. So I'll engage in the screen sharing in just a bit, because I want to talk first about a few things in terms of the 1v1. So the structure for the session is briefly talking about how to get into 1v1 in terms of like what the mindsets you need and which skills are borderline essential in order to get decent at 1v1s. And then after we go over some of the scenarios that Skitch alluded to, then we'll go into a few replays from the patrons. So of course, if you want further replay analysis potentially for the next 1v1 sessions, go drop a Patreon subscription. Shameless plugin, of course. So we'll go over first about getting into 1v1. And so what is 1v1 about when you are playing it? And predominantly 1v1 is about competing against yourself until you get to the upper echelon of 1v1. So in most of the lower ranks, and I would probably highlight that as C3 or GC1 and lower, you're mostly competing against yourself more than anything else. So you're using that space that you have where there's less chaos and more time to do stuff on the ball. You're essentially just skill testing yourself for the most part. And as long as you're in a good place in terms of like how you approach 1v1, it's a great way to technically improve yourself at the game. And the other thing that's really great about 1v1, again, highlighting that space, is that you can isolate certain skills that you want to work on. So if you want to only work on aerial plays like air dribbles, flip resets, ceiling shots, you can go do that. Like as long as your challenges are good and that you utilize the space properly, you can be your own teacher in that regard. Furthermore, some of the essential skills that I talked about earlier, which I will be discussing when we go over some of the replays that we have from X-Men and Doggo, is shooting is going to be one of the most essential skills, because in a lot of situations that you'll find in anywhere from Platinum to Champ 1, Champ 2, is that your opponent will position themselves badly by either going for boost or not shadowing properly, that they will end up creating an open net, essentially. And you want to test yourself constantly and see if you can actually score those open nets at a regular basis. The other thing is, of course, game physics, which I won't go into too much detail, but essentially with the physics, it means that when you have rolling balls, how do you chip it up for yourself and create very powerful shots? How do the rebounds work? Things like that. Other thing is ball control is also a very important skill. It doesn't have to just necessarily be carrying, but it's more so that when you let the ball bounce off your car or when you're touching it, you know what the ball is going to do it before you touch it. So you don't touch and react. It's more that you're touching it and you're playing as the play unfolds. So if you want to get good at learning how the physics works, 1v1 is also a great place because you just touch the ball, and if you instantly know what's going to happen, you have a great follow-up play. And last but not least, mindset. And this is the one thing I think that holds a lot of people back from playing 1v1. And the most important thing to start off with in 1v1 is you let go of your ego. So in 1v1, it's very easy for me to say, don't play to win, play to improve, but you have to forgive yourself if that in the sense that it's okay to make mistakes. If you're not a top 100 player or you're not playing for money, it doesn't really matter if you win or lose. And sure, winning, it feels great, and of course ranking up also feels great. But at the same time, if you have no prospects of going pro, then that's that part of the ego that you have to kill, where you let go of it and you just focus on improving, setting up really crazy shots or anything else that you want to get out of 1v1. And the other thing as well in terms of mindset is that you don't want to focus on punishing a lot of the easy open nets. So if you're playing platinum and diamond rating, the opponent will try to do something cool, or they'll shoot it towards your net, it hits the backboard, and you score that open net. Don't take those victories too seriously, because at the end of the day, you're mostly focusing on creating impossible to save shots on your own end, and you're less concerned about punishing a mistake that a platinum or a diamond makes. But enough about that. If anyone has any questions before we get started, then please let me know, and otherwise we'll go over some of the scenarios.
I have a quick question, I guess. What does it mean when I'm hard stuck plat 1 in ones, but I'm like high diamond in other things? Is it just that I'm bad at 50s? Like what does that mean? What should I be focusing on?
That's a good question, but that is generally, to a certain degree, player specific. But I would say that it's very natural that you're lower in 1v1 compared to your other ranks, and it is actually by like anywhere from like 2 to 3 ranks. So if there will be a lot of GC2 players that are C3 or maybe even GC1 in 1v1. But at the end of the day, like most people just play ones because they feel like they have to, which doesn't necessarily help because ones has generally got a bad rep. And so I would say a lot of it would, in terms of platinum, would just be shooting consistency. Because like I said, there are going to be so many scenarios where you have an open net. And if you know how to hit the ball really hard, and I'm talking consistently 65 to 70 miles per hour or 110 to 115 kilometers per hour, if you can consistently hit those types of shots where you know how to hit critical mass, you're going to be able to punish a lot of bad movement options from your opponent. Other things is using space. Maybe one of the things that you said about good 50s is probably true. Because one of the things that lower ranked players have a bad habit of is that they try to always get the ball towards your net when they're going for 50s. So if you play the 50s around them, it's almost always going to go past them, it will center, and then you score from there. But like I said, it's very person specific, so I would have to see what you're doing in 1v1s in order to figure that out.
So I guess my follow-up question is, so let's say like the 100 people who are best at 1v1s, then they must also have like worse ranks in 2s and 3s. Logically, I guess. So like what makes them so elite at 1v1?
I think in a lot of cases, because most of those people, like, not to disrespect them, I mean it in a positive sense, that they're kids. Like, they're just playing the game to be for what it is. Like, they're like, I feel like it's like an adult problem where you overthink things. So like, if you're on the wall and you try to pop it off the wall to go for an air dribble, you're thinking about the consequences because that's just what the adult brain does. But the kid is like, how do I score this? Like, they don't care about the consequences. They just do something, deal with the consequences later. And I think that they have a very pure mindset for improving, which, something that I commend. But I mean, the thing is with 1v1, like they're probably, if they're top 100 in 1v1, they're probably SSL plus in other playlists. Because as we've seen throughout the years in competitive RLCS, that there's a massive influx of 1v1 mains that go to 3v3 and not the other way around.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Anyone else, or can we get started with the scenarios?
Roast me.
No, I have some recording, so the roast will be delayed just a tiny bit, X-Men.
Oh, no. All right, that's fine.
All right, so here we have scenario 1, which hopefully you can find on the straw poll later. So this is just going to be a basic skill test that we're going to look at here. So we're going to have a scenario soon. So we have 3 options here for this outcome on the kickoff. What would we do here? We could steal the enemy corner boost. could try to score the goal, or maybe go for a cheeky demo and then go for the goal after that. And so if we have a bunch of people that can fill in the straw poll, that would be lovely. Should have the results open in this Chrome tab here.
Oh, I didn't even get in the poll. Oops.
Yeah, you can find it in a thread above, so take your time.
Training tips.
I voted and it still says 0%.
I voted as
You might
well.
have to refresh. Could you go back to the screen, Mike, to see what the options were?
Oh yeah, wrong tab here. Yeah, so A is steal the enemy corner boost off of this massive kickoff win. B is score the goal. Or C, demo, because the opponent's in a very bad position.
Can you play it one more time?
Yep, sure.
And these are replays from your games, right?
Yeah, these are replays from my games.
Where did y'all find the poll at?
Scroll up to the coaching appointments thread, and there's links there. It says Mike's 1v1 bootcamp session links.
Mike's one. That just says join voice.
No, above that. Oh, you're on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on mobile you have to. It's under the channel. It's a thread.
Oops. I voted B since this isn't gonna pop up. The straw poll doesn't seem to be working.
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I have to vote.
I'm finding it either, Sketch, on mobile. I don't know if it's a mobile.
Okay,
thing.
let me just put the scenarios into the coaching channel too. Maybe threads aren't showing up on mobile properly, so okay. But if
No, I just think like the straw poll itself isn't working.
Yeah,
also.
I voted and nothing's coming up, Mike. So.
Oh, this is kind of weird. Maybe I don't know if there's an expiration date on any of these, so that's kind of weird.
Okay. All
right. So we're just
to skip that. But
yeah, I guess we'll have to skip that. We'll try maybe one more time with the second one, but if that doesn't work, then I think it's because they expired.
Right. Okay.
All right. So hopefully most people got this correct, and the answer is flat out B, where you just go for the goal here.
Yep.
And so if we go back here, we can see that the opponent is hard committing for the corner boost here. And so as soon as he grabs a corner boost, any shot that is 60 miles per hour or above will be literally unsavable if it goes to the middle of the net or further. And so even though that shot was relatively bad, it does highlight that if I get any better contact, that it will be 100% unsavable in that regard. Is there anyone who answered differently? I mean, actually, it doesn't matter. I think this is a very clear-cut case, so it doesn't require that much explanation.
Demo wasn't the answer. It's clearly the right choice.
I agree.
Yeah, so we have another similar scenario here, but this is going to be a little bit different. So we have a few presentable options here. We could look to bump the opponent, challenge for possession. And so with challenge for possession, I mean that you swing towards the ball, try to beat him, and then go for a follow-up play. C is shoot the ball just directly towards the net. Or D, wait for your opponent to make a move. So we could try the straw poll one more time, but if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work.
If not,
I don't
putting
think it's
reactions in the channel.
What if you just refresh it?
Seems to be working.
Oh, wait, why don't we do reactions? Yeah.
Oh wait, the second one is working. I have one vote in.
Okay.
I'm showing 3.
Yeah, me too.
You should.
So
I think
we
you just have to refresh it each time.
I voted C.
Interesting. So
Everybody refresh.
Everybody wants you to bump the opponent, but
Yeah,
you don't
so-
have any boost, you motherfucker.
Yes.
Yeah, so-
But he's right there, and you're headed towards a boost pad.
Yeah, so we can talk about two of the options here. So we'll talk about X-Men's option first about shooting the ball. So the problem with shooting the ball here is that I'm low boost. And so a lot of people, so this is GC2 plus this lobby. So a lot of people have that in their flow chart where they're thinking like, okay, my opponent could go for the mid boost here, could go for a shot here. But if I go for a shot with 0 boost directly in front, Noodles could wait for that and try to bump me as I go for the air because I have to do like a pre-jump redirect. So if I get smashed all the way to the backboard, I'm going to automatically concede here. And then the next option, which I think was the most popular one, which was bump the opponent. So the issue with that is actually that I have low boost. So if I had 12 boost off the kickoff, which you tend to not have on the diagonal, a bump would be a realistic option here. But if I have to commit from this distance to flip into the opponent, that might just make me drop the play here. So the opponent might get ball and boost off of that. And so in this case, this was a bit of a nasty one. So the correct answer, as you'll see, is D. Wait for my opponent to commit to something and then go for a punish play there. And so bumping the opponent, like I said, was actually a very tempting option here, but I would have only done this if I had more boost. And so you can see that by waiting for the opponent to flip, they're going to lock themselves out of the game, even if it's just for that 1.5 seconds or so. That's enough to give me enough space to collect an extra pad and go for a free shot on it. Let's see, do we have a bit more of an interesting one here, I think. So we have an opponent that's trying to demo me here. So we have a pretty interesting scenario here because this is going to be quite a common one here. So 4 options for this one. We can dodge the demo and steal the boost and back off, see what the opponent does. Take the ball up the wall and go for an aerial play. 3 is just flat out shoot here, or I guess it would actually be B and C rather. Or D would be leverage the position that we're in right now to trap the opponent with 0 boost. Hopefully the third straw poll works here.
I think once you vote, you have to refresh. That's how it shows mine.
Straw polls are typically live, so I'm not sure what's going on.
I vote D.
Did you actually manage to vote?
I did vote D, and I
Yeah,
also verbally vote D.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're working.
No, I think this one's also not working either. That's weird. So the other one did work. Your vote has already been counted. Go to results. Yeah, okay, so this one's not working either for some reason. So we'll see here that, I mean, it's a bit of an extended play here, but we'll see how this one unfolds here. So the opponent's still directly behind me and trying to go for a demo here. And so there's a few hints of information here, and this is where situational awareness comes in very handy here. So off the kickoff, we can see one thing here in the peripheral vision. So wait, I have to go back a tiny bit. So this, like I said, this scenario is right off the kickoff. Is there anyone that can pick up a key piece of information here? What happened after the kickoff?
He didn't pick up boost?
Yep, that's exactly it. So the mid boost is still live. So there's only 2 pads there that he took. So this guy is like 24 boost. So that means that when this guy goes for the demo chase here, there's no way that this guy has more than 50 boost. So if he commits to this play really hard, that just sets up for the center. And that means that he's completely out of steam there. So a sender into a shot right there is the right play. So the third answer, or the fourth answer rather, is, fair enough. It kind of like centering it to yourself and shooting, but it's again like the idea is that you leverage your position knowing that you have a boost advantage to set up an impossible safe shot. So one of these actually could probably be correct, but it's a very difficult play, and that is take the ball up the wall for an aerial play. I don't know if anyone tried to answer that, but one of the issues with taking the ball up the wall is that as soon as you hit the ramp towards the end, you're going to slow down immensely on it. So that means that if the guy is right on your tail, as you're going up the wall, it can smash straight into the back part of your hitbox, kill you right about here, because you're going to lose a lot of speed. So so in other situations, it would be a good play to go for that if you have the technical skill to do it. But in this specific case, with how close he is behind me, it's going to be a very difficult one. And shooting doesn't work because it's a high risk play, and also you're not going to generate enough speed there from this position with how fast the ball is going. All right, and then we're on to the last scenario. So this one is going to be interesting if the straw poll would work. So we have a kickoff scenario here. Don't mind the flick. So now we have three options here. We can go for a straight shot, could go for a fake, or we can use the corner to center it in front of the net and score it off of that. So I'm really hoping that this one works.
Oh, can I go see? Can you go back to the options?
How do I get to that?
Doesn't look like it's working.
Yeah, I think this. That's really unfortunate. I think I have to make the straw polls later.
How do you get to the straw poll to vote?
There's a
Doesn't
thread above,
matter.
but it's broken, so it doesn't matter.
B.
Yeah,
Everybody yell out
fake.
your answers. B.
Fake.
Everybody fakes.
Everybody fakes.
No,
What
No.
what does Loomis do?
I used the corner to center it.
Loomis demos.
I
That's
can
it.
fake
Loomis
it.
does.
Probably get the demo at the same time. Yeah.
All right. So we'll explore that option that Loomis suggested, using the corner to center, because it is a very tempting option to go for this. But the problem is that if the opponent decides not to go for this ball, I will pass it to DK, and DK will just take it to the opposite corner. So it will look something like this. Just waits, takes it that corner. I drop possession, and I will be low boost, which means I have to go all the way to the mid boost in shadow. And so a lot of people called the correct answer. That would just be to fake. Very rewarding position to be in. And the main reason why I went for the fake in this option is because DK had a lot of momentum coming into this touch here. So it's a little bit hard to see because I cut it early, but I was getting slowed down immensely by the ramp there. And if I try to go for a shot off the ramp, it's going to completely mess up my aerial. So shooting is completely out of the question because it messes up the aerial. And so if anyone has any questions off of those scenarios there, then please let me know. And otherwise, we can go straight into the replays, one of them being X-Men and the other being Doggo.
Yeah, Mike, just I guess for like that last scenario, I feel like I've heard a million times, don't challenge into the opponent's corner, don't challenge, or don't go into the opponent's corner. So that's a generally a rule that you agree with, right?
Not always. It depends. So like, are you? Wait, I'm not sure why it's not rewinding properly. Are you referring to that touch there?
No. I mean on the options, because I guess the option was on the option A and option C are both you're going into the opponent's corner, and option B was the one where that's why I chose it, because I was like, aha, this is the common trap of like people mess up when maybe GCs don't, but I guess at the lower ranks.
I mean, so if I so challenging is going to be a bit similar to shooting, in the sense that if I go for a high play where I have to double jump forward or I jump and keep my flip, the problem is that the ramp messed it up. So this guy is completely ready to pounce on it, and you see that the timing to go would be right now. Like if I could shoot it, but like if I jump, I'm going to offset my aerial all the way towards the near post.
Mm-hmm.
And so the same thing will happen with challenging. So in slightly different circumstances, a challenge would be acceptable because it will center. And as long as I have enough boost for the recovery, that would be the call to do it. And so with challenging in corners, it mostly depends on the angle. So let's say DK is coming from this position, then I would have to slow play this or try to get some kind of a setup that pops over where it's impossible for DK to touch it. But in this specific case, because DK has such a bad angle, and there's also a little bit of history in this play as well, in the sense that DK has seen me ball chase an early challenge, that I decided to just try fake and see what would happen, given how bad the angle is. So I hold my boost, knowing that DK cannot see me properly, and then see what happens. Because a lot of people in this MMR do play with audio cues. And so I just get a completely free center on the house.
What should DK have done? I'm kind of curious. What was it, bump you?
I think demoing, given the position, was very bad in the sense that I got the corner boost. So like that's one of the details as well, is that I did end up taking that corner boost. Mm-hmm. So DK could fake the challenge here because DK is actually in a very favorable position where if I make a mistake, it's a goal. And also the scoreboard is very important here as well because I am 4-3 with 1 minute left. So I'm in a position where I have a lot of pressure, but I'm not in a position where I can take excessive risks. Like, let's put it that way. If I concede here, it's even Steven. That's a bit of a problem.
Okay.
Any other questions on this scenario? Or any of the previous ones? Trying to find X-Men's replay here. There we go, this one. So in terms of questions, because I still want to get through Doggo's replay as well, I think that we can try to reserve potentially any questions for after goals. But I think in most cases it's going to be fairly clear. And also it's good to ask X-Men, what rating are you in 1v1?
I think right now I'm Diamond 2.
All right, so Diamond 2 is a pretty solid rank. I want to say that's like the top 8% in 1v1, so it's a pretty respectable rank.
Ooh,
And
compliment.
And also, just to highlight, I'm not going to discuss anything about kickoffs because if you want to get better at kickoffs, just learn the speed flip. There's plenty of speed flip tutorials on it. And then because the kickoffs get more interesting when you can execute the best kickoff in the game. So we can take a look at the first situation here. So this came off of X-Men's loss on the kickoff here. So what the opponent did here that was great was a fake challenge using the boost advantage here. And then great high hit as well, very good option as well considering. So I would say a lot of the issues here came off of the kickoff, but also the fake challenge was just a great play coming in from the opponent here. A little bit of a better kickoff, but problem is that you have no boost on the kickoff, and that he blocked your flip there. Great position. And here we can see the first big mistake on the play here, and that would be not turning towards your net here. Because by turning towards the corner here, you put yourself further away from the play and give the opponent more space to you. So we'll see. This first hit's all right. Try to go for the air dribble play. And yeah, so this is like having a good mindset in 1v1. If you're going to go for these plays, you have to be willing to accept the consequences. So if you have the mindset where you're completely fine with throwing games for technical plays, that's just the best way to play 1v1s. But for those that are interested, I would like to highlight that this is considered an open net in 1v1 terms. So the way that you maximize this open net is by swerving around the ball and creating a cross angle for the top right potentially here, or even just the right side of the net. Because when you have a ball moving in a certain direction, in this case, it's moving straight away from X-Men. So when it's moving straight away from you and you come at a slightly different angle, that it acts like a force multiplier. So if X-Men shoots this right now, at best, X-Men gets 55-ish miles per hour. But if X-Men decides to cross on this ball, all of a sudden the option for a 65 mile per hour shot becomes live. So that's just something to point out. But the air dribble, like I said, is a good option here, especially if you go for a bump. Good kickoff. All right, this is a really good situation for X-Men. Guy decides to back off here. A little bit early on the flick, but I think the main issue was not letting it pop off your hood enough here. I'm not 100% sure here. Check this one time. Yeah, I think for the rest it was all right. I think you had to let the ball settle a little bit more on your car before you take the flick. Ooh. Overall, decent shadowing. You could consider going for the challenge if your intention is to roll it up the wall and buy some time there, because Edible missed the mid boost there. So it is a viable option to pinch it up the wall there and try to leverage your boost advantage. X-Men is using space here quite nicely. Oh, if X-Men didn't miss the mid boost there, X-Men had an option to go for a demo play here. And so the one thing that X-Men did here, which I really like, is that he didn't panic when he was low boost. He stayed close to the play and checked if there was a punishable mistake here because the opponent doesn't have any good clearing option. All right, so all in all, considering what happened, technically it was actually a win for X-Men on the kickoff. So X-Men greeted out very hard here for the mid boost. So the better play is to try to go for pads, hit the ball back into your corner, and then try to get the corner boost. Because now Edible Complex has a potential open net coming in here. It doesn't get the punish here. But yeah, so by going for the mid boost there, you set yourself up for a world of hurt by almost allowing yourself to get demoed for free there. Decent early flick, still respecting you. So the one thing that is that's worth noting here with the first 2 minutes is that Edible Complex relies on solid fundamentals, because if anyone else can point anything out, but Edible Complex has not gone for any egregious stupid challenges. Whenever X-Men's in the corner, respects it, goes for a lot of fake challenges, tries to get X-Men to take the bait, give a free ball. And I think that Edible Complex so far has been playing a pretty good game of Rocket League in terms of 1v1 fundamentals. Does X-Men save this? Nope, not quite.
Loser.
Sorry?
I said loser because I didn't save it.
No, I don't think you could have saved it. I mean, because so one of the advantages of flipping on the kickoff is that you save more boost, because X-Men is always 0 boost on the kickoff. Instead of flipping, goes full throttle. All right. Is that in? Not yet. Good punish. And so yeah, this is great mindset from X-Men coming in here. Not instantly backing off because of low boost, checking how the opponent recovers, and then deciding to go for the punish. Because a lot of people would instantly think, okay, I'm in a bad position because I'm low boost. But when you look at how your opponent recovers, they're in an even worse position. So that was a great finish coming in from X-Men. So the opponent, I think, is playing close, but I'm not 100% sure. Yes. Oh, no, it did come off the mid boost there. A little bit hard to tell. Good early challenge. That's fantastic. Good fake. And so notice, okay, so I'm gonna be jinxing myself here a little bit too early. Almost everything that X-Men did here was perfect. So we're gonna look at one thing here that X-Men did is there is a line between the back post and his car here. So preferably X-Men would be a little bit wider to account for a turn if he has to challenge like this. But almost everything in terms of how he set up the shadow play is perfect.
Fuck you, man. I've never looked at the other post to line myself up coming back. You just changed the game in that comment. I've never ever looked at the other post. I'm always looking at my car, trying to figure out where I am relative to the goal.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
Same. Yeah.
All right. Also, so the good thing to remember is that the map is mirrored. So, and the reason why I was very nitpicky about the positioning is because we have to account for turn. Because if X-Men turns right now, X-Men is going to be, let's say, a third way past the post. So top left from his perspective is going to potentially go in on an early challenge. So that's one of the things that you want to keep in mind when you're shadowing, is that you have to account for the distance, or in this case, the width that's lost by turning. So almost everything that X-Men did is perfect. But then this is where it's going to fall apart. So in this case, the opponent flicks early, panics. X-Men does get a free save. But in a higher MMR lobby, that might be the reason why you concede. Because it's so much harder to save the ball like that. So X-Men sees this, goes for the corner boost here. Could have slowed down just a little bit more on the catch. Checking if you lag there. Nice, good early challenge. And so here we're getting back into the danger zone, shadowing in the middle of your net here. Flicks early. So, I mean, we could look at a few reasons here. So this position is all great to be in. I think X-Men could try to play a bit more aggressive on this position and try to set up a cut earlier. Because the further that this gets into the corner, the better it is for the opponent to challenge. So if X-Men takes the initiative, boosts it a little bit earlier, and tries to come off the ball like at this angle, where the opponent might go for an early challenge or just leave the ball, X-Men has more scoring angles to work with. But the more that this bounces here, the less angles. So you see right now, the net is like probably 20% in terms of width because of the angle. And so that guy has to do nothing and gets a free save. And so one of the things as well with shadowing down the middle is that you can't fake challenge effectively because if you can't turn back towards your net easily if you have to fake challenge down the middle.
Can you maybe go over what he could have done different, or just like a quick?
Yeah.
If you're in this position, I'm caught shadow D'ing in midfield all the time and conceding constantly.
Yeah. So so X-Men played very reactionary here. So what you can do is you can instantly swerve off the challenge. So the thing that you have to know is like either you're taking a 50 and it's going into the net, or you're taking a 50 and it's popping away from the net. So you want to instantly turn, knowing that kind of flow chart, and then start setting up for the right side defense. And if you have to cross early, then you have to cross early. And so in this case, it is still moving to the side here, but X-Men turns too early on the play here. Because what you want to try to do is funnel the opponent into maybe taking it towards the wall. So this line on the left side of the screen is a better line to take. And so X-Men has to match the pacing here. That's the most important thing. So X-Men is already jumping the gun a little bit too soon when the opponent catches it. And you see now he's way too far ahead of the play so that when he turns, it's very obvious to the opponent. So we're going to take a look here because I think that the opponent did catch on given the spacing. Yep. And so one of the other reasons why shadow defending is effective is because they can't see you turning. That's one of the other main reasons.
Because I was too far away, he could see me because the ball wasn't in front of me. Gotcha.
Yeah. So you see right there, that all he has to know is flick early. That's the only thing that matters. Because if so the baseline flick that you want to be able to score consistently is probably around 50 miles per hour, 55, somewhere along those lines. If you can get that consistency on your flicks, like this will always be unsavable for X-Men unless he goes for some crazy pre-jump read. You see, like the opponent just did a great job here of punishing the shadowing from X-Men. Oh, they got a mid-air high five there as well. So I think X-Men actually played a lot of this great, except for two things here. So here you want to jump and boost instantly boost and jump instantly for the flick, so front flip. Because you're giving him a tempo advantage here, so he gets to play the ball before you're ready to react to it. It's like right here, you're not able to react to it anymore. So a fake there initially when you did not front flip for the boost would have been a good play because it doesn't compromise anything. Because he hits the ball past you, he doesn't have enough boost to go for another hit here. So I think those are like the two major components here. All right, X-Men gets a center. Could go for the corner boost steal if you were very fast there. I wouldn't always recommend it, but if you're very fast on that read on the wall hit, it is a good option. Okay, got a double tap midair. Great. I think you feathered a little bit too much boost there, but your timing and all that was perfect there for the challenge. Shot. All right, not quite in yet. So if I said that X-Men could have challenged this earlier, why would I say that? Like what?
You got me. I don't know.
Sorry, was someone else? Was it Somewhat that said that?
Yeah. I was saying that Edible has a lack of control right now.
In what sense? What can Control not do here?
He's leaving the ball far from his car, so the only thing you can do is really just hit it out mid, but it can't be very powerful.
All right, Doggo, what did you want to say?
Oh, he's driving downwards.
That's the correct answer. So if Edible tries to aerial for this, he's only going to go straight to the ground because if he jumps and sets up his boost, he's just smashing straight to the ground here. So by default, when you see this, you can almost always look to challenge here, unless the ball is very close to the opponent here. So if the ball was more here, Edible can still double jump for this and pop it out, but that's it. But when Edible is below the ball, which is right with this line here, and facing towards the ground, it's impossible for him to do anything. So that is it's exactly what Doggo said, that this is what you should be punishing a lot earlier.
What about a demo?
Demo?
Yeah.
If he shoots it towards your net, you're not saving it anymore. It's too risky. Like, you could 50 it on the ground at best, but demoing is almost always a nuke trap in this position because Edible will see you the entire time. I mean, so Edible did turn off ball cam here, but demoing in this position, as tempting as it is, it's just not worth it because at higher ranks you will get punished. See, cut early. I like the cut early, but again, I would have faked it unless you hard commit by full boosting and flipping into it. So this is unscorable so far. Very reactionary here. And purely with reactionary, I mean that it looks like X-Men is pushing up, see what the opponent does, and then the opponent hits it and then reacts, instead of having a clear plan of where you're going to turn. This punish is pretty great coming in from X-Men. Nice 50. And the finish was also very confident. Looks like we get a kickoff goal here. Oh, X-Men does implement the flip here. Straight in. All right, so X-Men managed to equalize it from, I want to say it was 1-4 earlier. So that's definitely a great comeback coming in from X-Men. Opponent is still low boost here, I believe. Yeah, so similar to here, that if the ball's lower to the ground, pointing to your car towards the ball like that is completely fine. But if the ball goes a little bit higher, it's better to have your boost pointing towards the ground because you can always threaten an aerial if the opponent gets too close. Good 50-50. Patience here. And so one thing that X-Men can do is maybe boost and flip around the map a little bit more just to keep more pressure, because when you're only going full throttle there, not the best of positions to be in when you're that far away from the ball. Good 50. So here, X-Men actually could threaten a demo here because Edible is not 100% sure where X-Men went off the play. So again, in a higher lobby, a demo here is good to pressure the opponent to get a forced error, but it's not good for the demo itself, if that makes sense. But in this case, with being a Diamond 2 lobby, it is possible that X-Men gets a free demo. Good job leaving the ball there as well. All right, so halfway through the game, I think X-Men did decide to start using flips on the kickoff. And it has been paying off already. Goal ball. Getting a little bit in the danger zone here, X-Men. So here we have like one of the first potential open nets here. So what is one of the things that X-Men could have done right about here to potentially punish this play?
Just shoot.
Yeah, pretty much just shoot. But the special thing, or what do you call it? The devil in the details here is creating your distance between yourself and the ball here. So X-Men could intentionally slow down here in order to create enough space where this open net's viable. Because if X-Men needs two things, he needs run up and lift. And so lift is not that much of an issue here because it's still underneath the ball, but he can't build any run up here. So even with 30 boost from this position, if you slow down a little bit by letting go of throttle, it will create enough distance between you and the ball where you can hammer in a 55-mile-per-hour shot here, or 60 even. And so this guy is slow playing a lot towards the corner boost, and that would be good enough to set up the open net.
Hey, Mike, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was having mic issues. There was a question from the chat that was earlier that maybe since you mentioned it now, somebody was asking how to get critical mass hits for ball speed. So is that pretty much what you just went over, or is there any other tips you can offer for getting that good power and getting the speed in your hits?
Yeah, so I could try to cover that briefly to a certain degree. Maybe I have to highlight it in free play as well. So the thing that you have to know with critical mass hits, and maybe it's better to use a white canvas background.
Okay. Or we can do that after the replay if you want. That was just a question that came up in the Twitch chat, so I wanted to make sure it was put out there.
Yeah, I can try to cover it. So with critical mass hits, so there's two important concepts to note for Rocket League is angular momentum and where you're hitting the ball. So your angular momentum is like in terms of like the imagining Rocket League as a 3D game. What kind of a line are you taking straight towards the ball? And showing this with a 2D example is generally the easiest way to go about it. So if I'm hitting the ball here, and I create, if my car has this line when I hit it, the force that I'm generating will go through the center of the ball right here. And that will allow it, that will be essentially hitting critical mass. So imagine that the force that you're hitting the ball with is creating a line. And what you want it to do is create an entire perfect diameter through the ball. So if you're hitting a bit too low on this ball with that line, your line is only going to go right down here. So the force is just going to fizzle out and it's going to chip up above your head. So if I go to free play here quickly, I'll try to highlight this. So if I pop up the ball like this, so imagine that I take a relatively flat line here. And then I hit the ball right there. So you see that the ball was almost as fast as supersonic, not really anything special here. So if I do this and maybe do it like that. So I'm going to take a relatively flat line and hit critical mass there. So that ball looked like it was probably closer towards 65 miles per hour. Very, very fast ball here. So the easiest way to practice this is with rolling balls here that you chip away from yourself, and just imagine that you're taking a straight line through the ball there. And so the one thing that is important to highlight with understanding how to hit critical mass is that it is a 3D game, so you have to think of how you're hitting the ball in terms of it as a vector. So where are you hitting in the ball, and how is your car lined up when you decide to hit it? And another thing that's interesting as well for the people that do play with game sound at high levels, you can hear the difference between high quality and low quality hits. But you'll notice that there's a beefier sound if you hit it, like a very heavy bass sound when you hit critical mass, whereas when you hit on the side of the ball, it has a very high pitched sound. But that's the best way that I can explain it if you do like using sound cues. Are there any other questions in the chat, Skitch?
Let me see. Let's see. Riffraff asks why he can't see what you're seeing. I think that just comes with experience. And someone said, Brockman also said, changing the direction on hit has an effect. Not sure what that means, but try to elaborate on that.
So I think I maybe understand what Brockman means. One of the best places to show that is on PC, out of all places, with the Steam maps. So one of the things that you want to know about flips is that flips also change your angular momentum. So like you see right here, I'm taking a diagonal line. So if I flip right before I hit the ball, I'm cheating the system a little bit, where it looks like I'm taking a straight line, but the game registers it as me taking a diagonal flight path towards the ball here. So that's why I'm able to get really beefy hits on the ball, even though I'm more or less flying straight towards. And that's why the air roll shots also have immense value. So, even on my screen, like I said, it looks like I'm going straight, but if I flip right before I hit the ball, the game registers it as me taking a diagonal vector towards the ball.
Are you just using regular air roll, not directional for that?
I use regular air roll, but you could argue that directional air roll is more consistent because it's a binary input, whereas there's so many different types of inputs you can get on your air roll. And so for those of you that play on PC and have Epic, you can do what's called a Steam Workshop map loader. So you can load these Steam Workshop maps even if you play on the Epic Games client. But I think if those are the main questions asked, we can quickly go over Doggo's replay, and then we'll call it a day.
Can we take one minute break here between replays and just remind everybody, if you were on mobile and you can see the thread, I put the links in the coaching appointment channel. So there's the Rocket League Farts YouTube and Twitch, and Mike's YouTube and Twitch. So if you have a minute, please click through and follow and subscribe and help everybody out. And also, I didn't mention it. I don't have the link there, but we do have a Patreon, and if you have $5 to spare a month to help support the server, keep the boosts up and things like that, that's how Doggo and X-Men got picked for doing the replay here as a Patreon member. So we do perks like that for coaching and other fun things. So let me throw that out there, and then also I apologize for if you're watching the stream, it gets a little choppy when it's moving, but remember Mike's streaming from the Netherlands, so thanks to the magic of the internet, we can get something, but it's the best we can do. But that's all I have. So go ahead, Mike. Thanks.
All right. All good. And so we're going to see already like a big difference here with Doggo versus X-Men, is that Doggo has 20 boost off the kickoff, which gives Doggo a lot more options here. And so given this specific rebound, Doggo doesn't have an open net, but Doggo can leverage pressure here. That's one of the things that you want to keep in mind, because this is going to rebound away from the boost, and almost everyone in what I want to say, is this Champ 1 or Diamond 3 Doggo? I don't know if Doggo's still there.
Diamond 1.
Okay, this is Diamond 1. So almost everyone will instantly go for the boost here, and we're going to see if that happens. Yeah, so this is, again, one open net that Doggo missed, because if that guy leaves the ball, you have an uncontested shot that will be unsavable. Great self-pass here. A little bit stingy on the recovery here. So Doggo did almost everything perfectly, except for feathering the boost on the recovery. So if Doggo held full boost and just go for an instant shot, that would have been the reason why this PRZA guy cannot save it. Decent first touch. Tricky position here. So this is now a great position for the opponent to challenge, because Doggo's pointing towards the ground, and we can probably see it from the opponent's perspective here. Only thing is that PRZA really messed up his hit on the ball, and Doggo gets a clean open net. And so, if we compare as well with some of the scenarios that we did earlier, and comparing this to what we saw from Doggo, is that you want to, in almost every position, you want to see what type of pressure you have and what is very likely that the opponent is going to do. Because doing things like having the boot, just because the ball's close to you doesn't mean that you have control, nor are you going to play the ball. So you want to put the opponents in a position where they either have to play the ball and forgo the boost, or they play the boost and forgo the ball. That was a good flick. I want to check one last thing with the flick here. So the only small suggestion that I would make for Doggo on this flick setup is take a slightly different line towards the opponent's net here, because this is one of the things that Johnny Boy highlights very nicely when he casts 1v1s, is that if you catch the ball like this and take a straight line, during the entire play, you can see what the opponent is doing, because they're going to be going towards their net, and you don't even have to do much with your right stick to see the opponent. So if we remember the shadowing play that we saw from X-Men, where the opponent could see X-Men turning, it's going to be the exact same thing. So the opponent can only backwards challenge, or they leave their net open, and that's a really bad position for the opponent to be in. So Doggo could have maybe set up a bit of a straighter line and use a diagonal flick, but other than that, it was still a good play. Kickoff. First touch is good. Just use a little bit too much boost after the first touch, but the try was nice. So I'm curious if anyone knows this. What was one of Doggo's other options here, given this shot?
Leave it.
Let it go.
Yep. That's exactly right. Because one of the things that the opponent did is the opponent's moving away from where the ball is going. And one thing that we can pick up on as well is that Doggo is moving roughly as fast as the ball here. So even without using any boost or double jumping there, Doggo only has to flip on the ground, get a little bit ahead of the ball, and then Doggo can take it to the right corner. So then Doggo does get boost and possession. So far, Doggo's doing quite well against Mr. PRZA here. So again, Doggo has more boost on the kickoff, can leverage the advantage better. Nice try on the redirect off the hood. Nice demo. Doggo score it. Decides to go for the extra touch here. Yeah, so Doggo is, let's say in some of the other openness, we'll say Doggo is 0 for 2. But and it's not to make fun of Doggo, it's really to highlight how many open nets a lot of people miss. So that's like one of the things that you can do as well to judge your own skill level. Oh, skipped a little bit too far. Good kickoff. This is a very difficult position for Doggo to be in, especially because he missed the pad, but he's decided to be patient. And am I correct in saying, Doggo, that you're listening for sound cues?
Yeah, I'll try.
Okay, because it looked like based on how you're playing, you're waiting to hear if the opponent was going to jump or anything, and then you could make a move off of that. And that's it's unreliable, but it is a relatively good way to go about playing some of those situations. I would say ideally right stick as much as possible, but sound cues are also a great thing after kickoffs because it's a very high commitment mechanic when you're low boost. So for this shot here, Doggo could play a little bit further back here. So if we look at where the net is in relation to Doggo's car, there is a tiny bit of width between him and the ball here. So it's like this much width. So Doggo has to slow down, create more space between him and the ball, and then it accounts for the aerial, because the aerial will always have a little bit of forward momentum. So it's one of the things that is important to read by using the visual cue between your ball and the car. So even given Doggo's position, he could still score it, but it's easier to create a bit more separation. Good kickoff. That's a goal.
Mike, quick question for you.
Yeah.
You were talking about right stick and vision. I noticed on your replay when you were sharing, you used rear view. I tried using rear view and it just confuses me and it's an extra input. Do you think that's critical or can you get by without rear view?
You can to a certain degree get by rear view if you play with game sound. That is possible, but I've used rear view a lot in situations where I demo, for example. So if you're in those situations where you demo and you can't really score the ball yet, but you have to go for mid boost and then just reset from there, I use the rear view to see where the opponent spawns.
Sure.
Other good things is after kickoff. So if you're going for a mid boost and you want to see what the opponent is doing, you can catch them on whether or not they're staying close for a punish or if they are going back to their corner boost. So if you want a good time to implement rear view, or let's say you're a person who doesn't use it and you want to start implementing it, best time to start implementing is probably after kickoff, and then after that you can slowly implement it into your gameplay. And so like here, PRZA would want to use the rear view, because if PRZA catches Doggo going for the mid boost, it's an open net, doesn't even have to go for the corner boost anymore. But in this case, does decide to go for the early shot there. Okay, demo did get snuffed out a little bit here. So we're going to see what this looks like from PRZA's POV here. Yeah, so I think it was a combination of audio cues and also the visuals, because at some point when PRZA started backing off away from the wall, it was easier to see Doggo there. So playing the ball was probably the better play there. Yeah. And that's also something as well, like when you're playing in Champ 2 and below, a lot of people are not going to go for awkward angles or shots, so rushing the ball is a more viable option in those positions, whereas if you get to the higher ranks, challenging should be the mindset that you have. A bit awkward on the flick there. This bump was okay. It's just going to be difficult to get something going here. So Doggo could have potentially side flipped here. That would be the only way I see Doggo scoring this. So if Doggo diagonal flips right now, gets it towards the right post, might be the way he scores it. But other than that, it was a difficult ask. Good to fake the demo there. So I like the pressure here that Doggo puts on. And then right here, instantly turn towards the boost if you can't get the bump anymore. Because you will give up possession, but you're not going to be in the worst of spots just yet. Okay. I like it. Wait for the rebound here. Yeah, so so when I talked about one of the things in at the start of why you should be playing 1v1s, this is pretty much one of those examples here. Like, this should be a skill check where you challenge yourself to see if you can score this, because this guy's not challenging the rebound. So when you have a tiny rebound here, this is considered an open net. So you do want to challenge yourself and try to go for it. And the worst case scenario, at least given this angle, is that you just put it into the other corner here. So the risk is not even that big for not scoring it, so don't worry about that. Oh, Doggo's 100 boost here, but decides to go for the mid boost. So Doggo's losing a lot of pressure here because, you see, now he forces himself to go for an early challenge, gives up another goal here. And so Doggo had to be patient here and try to shadow a bit more, see what the opponent would do. And so for one of the people that asked about shadowing and towards the midfield, this is, again, one of those things where if you pace too far, you're going to realize that you're out of position. So Doggo is half a pitch away almost from the opponent. And so PRZA also had no boost, and I think that's a cue that Doggo missed out on the way PRZA was playing it. Decent kickoff. It's not scoreable just yet. Oh, actually it was. So he recovered quite close to the ball here. I thought that PRZA flipped further away towards the net. This would also be a great place to right stick, just to make sure, because I made an assumption there, but it was an incorrect assumption. Good boost steal. This would be a good time to go up. Nicely done, Doggo. Kickoff. So Doggo could. So Doggo's a bit late on this, but one of the things that you can do from this position, where it looks like the opponent has you beat, is realize that your opponent doesn't have a lot of good options. So the first objective is to get to this pad here, see what the opponent does, and just respect it. They might try to take it back to their corner boost, but PRZA is on the wrong side of the ball here, which means that Doggo has a lot more pressure here to force an early hit, go for the mid boost potentially and shoot it, or force an early hit and score it. So even though PRZA has the first hit on the ball, Doggo has way more options. So this is the open net that Doggo missed right now. So 0 for 3 or 0 for 4 on open nets. Well, not all of them, of course, but you know what I mean. Good shot. So you're again, try to go for the rebound if the opponent goes for the boost. Ooh, this is very unfortunate. And so one of the reads that you can pick up on, if let's say you were playing yourself in this solo queue lobby or this 1v1 lobby, so one of the things that the opponent hasn't done the entire game in what looks like 8 to 10 situations right now is never challenge early on backboard rebound. So that's one of the things that you can either decide to punish just by shooting it flat out or pressure it a bit more. Our opponent here is very concerned with compromising position, so would rather wait a net and try to go for a save than challenge early and make sure that the opponent doesn't get a free shot. So the opponent is unfortunately putting himself in a position where he's going to lose more games purely because he doesn't decide to challenge early. Doggo's just letting the guy play the game. That's fine. This would be a good time to challenge. As soon as the ball rolled off the car from the opponent there, that would have been the timing that Doggo was looking for to challenge. But in this case, there's still no harm, no foul. So, given what happened with the demo there, what's the most important information to ascertain right now?
Response.
Yeah, because that changes everything in terms of how you're going to play this out. If the opponent spawns back left, you have to play towards the right side of the field, and then vice versa. So this would be the perfect opportunity to right stick, and in this case, we can infer that the opponent spawned back left. So Doggo is playing down the middle right now, which is going to hamper his ability to get pressure going. And so that's one of the things I would implore as well to a lot of people who get demo situations, but they can't score the open net immediately, is go for the slow play and try to use the space on the opposite side of the field. Make it as hard as possible for the opponent to challenge. And you're gonna, I almost like money back guaranteed. You're gonna see way more goals if you first look where they spawn and then play on the opposite side of the field. Like, don't pressure yourself to rush the play because you can't score it anyway. So the most important thing is possession. Sorry.
If you're shadowing on that, like, do you want to put them towards the corner of your end, like on the opposite end of
that? So we're talking about this play here.
Like, say the opponent's dribbling in, and do you want to keep them on the edge of the field, like towards your corner, like shadow, like push them away from the middle, or like, is there any particular area where you want to like force them, like, or shadow more just like following what they do? I guess.
Just a lot of it is following about what they do and trying to find moments of weakness. Just seeing if you can make people budge. Because if you focus on a lot of fake challenges first and the opponent never budges, that is a potential read that gives you the option to fake challenge the next time.
Okay.
So shadowing in general is an opportunity to read, but it's also like telling a story where you keep telling the opponent how you play certain scenarios, and that gives you the option to go for mix-ups. But ideally, with shadowing, it's very complicated because you do want to keep the opponent as far away as possible. But on the other hand, you can set your opponent up to go for an offensive play, but as long as the offensive play is very limited, what they can do with it. Because if this guy starts to take it down the middle and points his car towards the top right of your net, well, the guy can only score middle or top right of the net, can't score top left anymore. So you have a lot more coverage indirectly by giving your opponent the opportunity to cross down the middle for free. But yeah, if you can, keep the opponent to the side because it's harder to score.
Okay.
Good kickoff. It's going to center. This is a good position to right stick as well because if the opponent went down the middle, you can't shoot early. But if the opponent does go for the corner boost here, Doggo can take a tighter line by not going up the wall and then go for the bottom right here. So the perfect timing to go for a right stick play is right here. And also try to stay off the ramp purely because the ball's going to keep going middle. And so we see opponent took the corner boost here, so this would have been an open net as well. Go for an early shot, risky play though. Good recovery from Doggo, has wave dash. Good, really good touch there. Make it as annoying as possible. The shadowing is so everything that Doggo was doing up until he reversed as I froze the frame. Doggo was playing it perfectly, baiting the opponent to like go for a shot on the net here because you see he blocks everything that the opponent can do. Yeah, good patience here as well and good challenge. Not the most desirable outcomes, but it's all right. Yeah, and Doggo skill checked him there, and that's one of the reasons why going for boost steals when shadowing is a very dangerous mistake to make. So Doggo got a fantastic punish there. But are there any other questions in this replay specifically? Because I think we're getting to the point where we can round down towards general 1v1 questions.
I have a general one, but
yeah, sure. If no one else has any questions, then I'm all ears.
I always have trouble like settling the ball on the car. Like, I'm not really sure the best way to do that because like I always lose challenges or I'll lose a flick or anything like that. Like, I don't know if there's any tips or anything for getting it to settle.
So part of it depends on how fast the ball is moving away from your car or what the ball is doing generally speaking, to be specific. Because with every motion that the ball makes, whether it's left, right, forwards, backwards, there is always a type of sweet spot that you can find on your car. So in this case, the sweet spot is more towards the windshield there to control the ball. But if I create a more lateral moving ball here, then the sweet spot is more towards here. And this is, of course, in relation to the net there because I want to set up for a flick. But it's all ebb and flow, and it's almost like yin and yang to a certain extent, where every movement has a counter movement. It's all very strange, wishy-washy philosophy. But if you're doing something with your car, you have to do a counter movement.
Yeah.
So like here, the ball's not moving too fast, and if I want to accelerate the ball as I'm catching the ball, I have to put it towards the windshield. But if the ball is moving very fast away from my car, it has to be more towards the engine block if you're playing Octane.
Mm-hmm. So it's really just more time playing and getting a feel in like games, because like in training I can do it no problem. Just the faster pace makes it. I struggle with that part.
Yeah, I think one of the easiest, well, not the easiest way necessarily to fix it, but is so like when I catch it on the windshield on almost any given position, like no matter how fast the ball is moving. The first thing the ball will do is get pushed away from my car. So the one thing that I know off the bat with a windshield catch is that I always have to boost under the ball to get some control.
Can you go over flicks a little bit? Because there's a lot of times where I'll have the ball and I'll have an okay dribble going, and then I go for a front flip flick, and it, I whiff the flick almost.
And with whiff the flick, you mean that you flip through the ball?
Yeah, it just, I don't get very good contact on it where the ball kind of pops up too high. Just wondering if you have any tips on
I've
flicks.
got to kind of follow up on that as well. It's to do with the timing of the actual second jump, and sometimes it's too fast or too slow. How the hell do you find out what's the right timing?
So that is difficult because one of the videos that you could look up is from Kevpert. It's called Delayed Flicks. So Delayed Flicks covers the where you have a big discrepancy in timing. So like you do this and then flick it like that. And one of the things that you do with delayed flicks is that you start angling your car as well. You angle it a little bit more forward, but it tends to work better with longer cars if you're going for delayed flicks, whereas instant flicks are a lot better on Octane hitbox.
Okay.
Let's say I'm trying an instant flick and I tap A too fast and my flick just contact is terrible. Or my jump too fast. That's what
I think that would be placement of the ball on top of your car. Would be more of how the power transfer is.
Are you boosting through your flip?
Depends on the situation. Or are you talking to Astra?
I'm talking to you. I'm just watching you. Whoever's playing right now. If you could do some 45s and like maybe turn unlimited boost off.
I mean, with 45s, though, I would say if your flicks are something that you still need to work on, one of the best flicks that you can work on for an Octane is diagonal flip flicks, where you can, with regular diagonal flip flicks, where you're not doing like weird turns, you should still be able to get 60 miles per hour baseline on a lot of them, but it is a lot more difficult than with the 45-degree flicks. Because what determines the power that you get for flicks is how many times is the ball making contact on your car. Because if you're getting, let's say, around 50 to 55, you're only making contact once, but you're getting solid contact. But 45-degree flicks, the ball hits your car twice.
Yeah, I feel like I've hit it in free play sometimes, and occasionally I'll yeet it straight to hell. Like you can get like some serious power on it, but it's so inconsistent when I try to do it in a game.
And I'm going to try to go back to Astro's question. So generally speaking, what you want to practice first for flicks is getting it on the right place on your car. That's one of the most important things. So if you play Fennec or Octane, it's more towards the windshield, and in the case of Octane, it's a little bit in front of the engine block. That's going to be one of the most important things because so one of the things that I can best describe it as is your car is effectively this, and then you have what's called the center of mass in your car, which is it's offset a little bit towards the back of your car here. So when you're making car contact, just imagine again that there are all these like theoretical lines that pop out of your car, which will determine how well you make contact on the ball. So like imagine that you now twist this thing 45 degrees. So when you start twisting it 45 degrees in the motion of a flick, this back part of the car has to be hitting critical mass through the ball there, because that's what is determining the launch. So if your contact point is more towards the windshield, there's no solid contact coming through the ball there. But I'll see if I can show it a little bit with some fancy camera work here. So like So imagine that when you flip there, you want that engine block to be the thing that is catapulting the ball there. That's one of the best ways that I can describe it.
No, perfect. Makes sense. I think it's just an impatience thing. And not waiting till it's in the right position.
Yeah, like that's just the best way to describe it as well for Octane. Like you can rely on visual cues, feelings. So like the feeling that you're looking for as well when you're going for flicks is where you feel like the ball's going to start rolling off your car, but you can always compensate for it. And so what I do when I set up for flick is I briefly let go of throttle when I'm going fast, get slightly in front of my car, and then I can get better contact. Because when let's say you keep the ball constantly here before you go for flick, what happens is that you have to full boost, then you can maybe start getting under the ball, but the problem is that you've locked yourself completely out of other options. So the opponent knows that you're going to flick if you do that. So like there, if I was going for a play on opponent, the opponent knows I can only flick because I messed up my control there.
Right, perfect. Thank you.
And so that's why if you can, controlling it a little bit more towards the engine block is better because it's easier to change the speed. So you can drive in front of it a little bit to slow it down, and then let go of throttle a little bit to start accelerating it. But again, like to better explain that that abstract way of looking at the flicks is Kemper does have a very good video when you talk about the delayed flicks, where he explains it very well how you get solid contact on flicks onto the ball.
All right, cool. I'll check that out. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Didn't sound like it. So, all right, yeah, we're a little over almost an hour and a half. So, Mike, appreciate you doing this and getting this set up for everybody. And,
all good. I appreciate everyone for coming here. We had a lot more people than expected, so I'm quite happy with this outcome.
Yeah, it's a great interactive session. Thanks for all the questions, everybody. As I mentioned, we've got all the links up in the channel, and I will pull this down off Twitch and put it on YouTube. And again, apologies for the video quality, but we're streaming from overseas, so but you've got all the great information and tips from Mike himself, and don't forget he's available for one-on-one coaching as well.
Much appreciated.
All right, if nothing else from anybody, thanks again for hanging out. Thanks again for being part of the community, and we'll see you all out on the pitch.
Yeah, thanks for dropping by, everybody.
Have a good evening.